Sup flappers, welcome back to another video. As you guys can see, we're on YouTube. I kind of reformatted our stream layout here a little bit. I'm on the bottom right corner and we got chat above me. I got a nice comfortable robe going on today with my eye infection and of course chat just popping off as usual. What we're doing here today is we're back at it again trying to piss off we're back at it again trying to make the Genshin community proud. Excuse me earlier for that a little slip up, but I promise you, this is not some controversial tier list we're trying to make. This is a community tier list. I'm gonna try to source from chat their input as much as possible. So here are what we are evaluating these characters off of. We did a poll in chat and we did end up saying this will be a tier list for characters with 5 stars being at constellation 0 and 4 stars being at their optimal constellations. I feel like peak potential just doesn't work because then it's always C6 or C5, right? So for them to reach a spike in their power, maybe that's a good way to put it, right? That's what this tier list criteria is going to be based off of. So for reference, someone like Bennett, right? Him at C0, a solid character, maybe A, but him at C1, you can slap him into S tier. But you don't need to say, oh, I need my Bennett to be at C5, because C5 Bennett, while it's stronger than C1, it's too much investment. To a certain degree, I think that's an over investment, right? So that's what we mean by optimal constellation. So I'm going to try to include timestamps in the description below. So make sure to reference that if you guys have any specific characters that you are looking to see who's better. This is going to be a Genshin Impact 2.3 tier list video. And like I said, C0 5-star optimal constellations for all 4-star characters. With that said, let's just jump straight into it. Without any further ado, we have the MC. I think prior to Electro version of the MC being added, I would have probably slapped him in like C or B tier. Nowadays, I think he's gonna be a more B tier character because yes, he does have accessibility to 3 different elements, but at the same time, none of them are that influential. Before Raiden Shogun came out, the Electro version was able to facilitate some energy regen, but now I think overall it's... I would not put him in C tier just because of how flexible he is. Like, we're talking C0. We're talking C0. But yeah, this is gonna be a solid B tier for me. I don't think we can go any higher than this, and I don't think he should be any lower than this because there's a ton of characters in the game that yeah, let's just leave him at B tier. All right, Mr. Albedo. Here's the thing with Ito coming out, as well as his dedicated artifact, as well as a new solid free-to-play weapon. Albedo is really pushing the boundaries between what is possible in the game for characters to bounce between. I don't know. I feel like he's either a high B or a low A tier right now. But because we already have someone in B tier, let's just throw him in A tier for now. We'll move, like I keep saying, we will move these characters around. These are not permanent placements because we need to get a feel for things, all right? So with Amber, her C2 allows her to trigger Baron Bunny and just use it as a literal time bomb. Granted, you are accurate enough to shoot the Baron Bunny. And then her C4, I don't think the C4 is really that necessary. And C6, what is C6? Fiery Rain increases Amber's movement speed by 15% and base attack speed. You know what? Why are we even debating this? I think even at C4, where you decrease the CD of her Baron Bunny, I'm just thinking, is there a character that is worse than... Yeah, I'm very conflicted. Let's throw it in D tier, but it's at optimal, right? It's optimal. If you optimize her and get... I'm looking at the list right now. Who's worse than Amber? At an optimal constellation. Let's leave her at low C right now. I think a solid C tier character with Amber. For now. All right, moving on. Ayaka. Oh, our girl Ayaka. At C0, she's a solid A tier. Can't get higher than that. I don't think she... like... mid to upper A tier. She's really solid. She can be used as a burst support. She could be used as a what you call it, a freeze, on hit freeze. She's good. At C0, I think Ayaka is a relatively flexible unit who can do many different things in the game, but she doesn't really crest into that S tier just because she isn't phenomenal at any of the particular things that she does. There are characters in this game that can just do what she does better, right? But I would say a solid A tier character. Solid A tier character. And it's Barbara's turn. Barbara. Let's take a look at Barbara's constellations. I don't have all these characters' constellation memorized, but I just need to take a quick peek and I would know. Barbara C4. Attentiveness, be my power. Every enemy hit by Barbara's charge attack regenerates 1 energy for her. A maximum of 5 energy can be regenerated in this manner with any 1 charged attack. She gets pretty spammy with her Constellation 4, and let me tell you, sometimes it's pretty hard to dodge her constellations when Mihoyo is being, you know. But at C4, I think she's definitely more useful than Amber. Overall, either a high C or a very low B. I think it's gonna be a high C for Barbara. It's just because of the characters who are on this list. They outdo her in many ways. It doesn't matter who you have, as long as it's not Barbara, likely you're gonna do a better job than what Barbara has to offer, even at her C4. Compare, like, Jean C0 versus Barbara C4. Jean C0 is probably like up there somewhere. All right, so understand that even at C4, an optimal constellation for Barbara, I don't think she's going to be outperforming a lot of the other characters, right? Okay, moving on. Don't hate me for this, chat. Don't hate me for this. I already said it. Don't hate me for this. There are many reasons why Beidou cannot, maybe like that, maybe like this, maybe like this. I think Beidou is better than the MC. That's for sure. That's for sure. Overall, I would even put Beidou in A tier, but I just don't think, like, comparative on this list to some other characters, I don't think she can get any higher than a high B tier, right? Beidou would be C2 if I remember correctly. Beidou C2 is a very nice spike for her because her arc lightning can jump to 2 additional targets with her burst skill. She's very solid at C2 anymore, and if you're chasing for C4, I don't think it's justified. People understand each of these tiers, characters who are above other characters are better. So Beidou is better than the MC. As things start getting filled out within these tier lists, you guys will soon to see, even within the B tier, there's gonna be a big discrepancy. All right, moving on to the next one, Chongyun. I think it's gonna be a solid C tier. All right, upper C tier. As newer characters gets added, maybe Chongyun can see usefulness, but Chongyun's either upper C or lower B. I could put him in lower B just because of certain national team usage where he's pretty solid. All right, I'm going to be honest with you guys. He's pretty solid in very specific teams. Now, Chongyun, if I remember correctly, was C4. Yes, Frozen Skies. Chongyun regenerates 1 energy every time he hits an enemy affected by cold or frozen status effect. This effect can only occur once every 2 seconds, which is a very solid constellation. So if you can get Chongyun to C4, his energy regen is actually quite substantial. I think he is either high C or low B tier. Yeah, low B, I think chat agrees. Remember, people, this is a tier list that we're talking about 5-star characters at C0. 4-star characters are going to be at their optimal constellations. All right. So with that said, Chongyun, I'm going to put him in low B tier. All right. Diluc at C0. Diluc nowadays, I don't know, man. I'm gonna be quite honest with you. Diluc nowadays at C0. Oh, this is getting hard, man. He fell off pretty hard. I'm gonna be quite honest with you guys. He did fall off pretty hard off the meta. He's either a high B or a low A tier now. I do think when it comes to raw damage, he still is stronger than Beidou. You know what? I'm gonna slap him in low A tier for now. I think we might have to bump him down a little later, depending on who fits into to each slot and comparative to other characters. But for now, we're gonna keep him here because we have Bennett. I think this is our first S tier character. At C1, currently Bennett is still irreplaceable in many teams. Although in my video today, I did not have Bennett sit in my top 5 all-time characters. I do think he's still up there. Bennett at C1, especially at such a low constellation, being able to proc so much power, phenomenal unit. Overall, I don't think more needs to be said. If you guys are watching this video, you don't have a Bennett or you have a C1 Bennett, you never built him, try him out. He's very solid. He's a buffer. He allows your team to just do more damage overall. Fischl. Probably somewhere around here. All right, I'm gonna be quite honest with you. Fischl probably, I think it was C4. Fischl gets the heal, but that's not an optimal constellation. That's like a good constellation. I think C2 for Fischl. Fischl either... It's either... When it comes to usefulness, she's better than Beidou. She has more utility features than Beidou, whereas Beidou is more... but if we're talking about utility, then Fischl even outdoes Diluc. This is not a DPS tier list. First and foremost, people have to understand this is not a DPS tier. This is about usefulness. I might have to move her up. I might have to move her even above Diluc. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. This is no cap. I do think like when it comes to team options, you'll see Fischl in more teams than Diluc. C1 Fischl could be good. C2 Fischl is pretty comfortable. I don't think you need to be going over C2 Fischl. C6 Fischl does open you up for better support capabilities, but yeah, I think she's above Diluc. All right. I think overall I did make a mistake putting her here at first. I think she's more here. Above or below Albedo, I don't know. Here's the thing, right? See, this is where things are already starting to get tricky. Does Fischl see more usage over Albedo? No, I don't think so, because I think in a support DPS category, Fischl is beneath Albedo just because of Albedo's how long Albedo's elemental skill lasts without him having to recycle through it, whereas Fischl need to be at C6 to have 100% uptime on Oz. Just overall, yeah. We're gonna go with that. Fischl at C1 or C2 is subpar comparative to Albedo. Even at C6, she's barely on par with him. So overall, this is where Fischl is gonna sit. Above Diluc though. Diona! C2 Diona. All right, Constellation 2 for Diona. That's where you're going to want this character to be. When it comes to usefulness, I do think she's very up there. She's either high A or low S tier. I think a lot of people, especially with Diona being handed out, I think people are really starting to understand how absurd this character is. Even currently, shielders are getting targeted by Mihoyos through corrosion, but Diona is still going strong, people. Like, I can't iterate enough how she can change certain people's account dynamics by having a highly invested Diona. Her shield is very good. If you have Sacrificial Bow, you can have 2 of them. So, in essence, if you stack 2 of Diona's shield, it actually even can out tank 1 Zhongli shield, because you have 2, because you have Sacrificial Bow. You know what? I'm gonna slap her in low S tier. All right, chat. I remember when I did the tier list last time, I slapped Diona in low S tier, and people got really upset. But I still, like, overall, I still think she's low S tier. She's strong, man. She's really strong. Her burst is an AOE heal, and she has a shield, and she's cryo. No, she's too solid to not put in the low S tier. Yeah, and she's a great cryo battery as well with Sacrificial Bow. The guy with no Wi-Fi says she's not better than Ayaka, but the thing is, we're not talking about like damage wise or something, right? We're talking about her utility. Is she not transformative for certain teams over someone like Ayaka is transformative of other teams? When some teams cannot work properly without Diona to facilitate them. While Ayaka also is integral to certain teams that she is ran in, but you can replace Ayaka as she is more of a damage-centric character, whereas Diona is a utility character. How often is Diona fitted into teams just to not only get crowd resonance, but also to get a shield, but also to get a healer, right? And she generates protocols. It's too good. It's too good. She just does too many things. HuTao is definitely a solid A tier character. She used to be S tier, all right? She used to be S tier. C0, she's at best an A tier. At best, she's at C0. Remember, C0, she's at best an A tier. I think she's worse than Ayaka if they're both at C0. Worse than Ayaka. The only reason she cannot be an S tier is because of how difficult she is to pilot at C0. If you want her to reach S tier potential, you need the damage to speak for itself. And at C0, unless you're like a master at jump cancel, it's not happening. I'm really scared to go on to this next character because I feel like people keep calling me biased, but I don't think so. I don't think I'm biased. I honestly don't. I would even put her here. I would even put her above Diona. It's between these two like this. I do think Ganyu is an overall S tier unit. She has great utility at C0. My Ganyu is at C0, right? So I know. C0, she has top tier cryo support capabilities. She's still one of the best main DPS available, even can be flexed into the support DPS role, right? There is nothing about this character that I feel like is deserving of A tier. Even in the support DPS category, I do feel like just her ult alone, her burst skill alone, gives enough damage to deserve an S tier spot. I'm sorry. Call me biased. I don't see in what world Ganyu is A tier. All right. She's boring. Okay, I admit to that. She's boring. She's a very linear character with little nuance. C0. And we're not even talking C6, right? This is all C0. 5 stars are C0. 4 stars are at their optimal constellations. Okay, let's go to Jean. Jean is a solid A tier character as well. And people, you're going to start seeing a pattern here. There's one tier that's starting to pull out ahead of the rest. Right, Jean is a solid A tier character at C0. While as you get more constellations of her, she gets even better. But C0, Jean just does her job so well. Jean also has a mechanic about her, which is actually very interesting. If you ask any Jean main, I think it's one of the main reasons people like playing Jean is her Gale sword can throw enemies high enough up into the air, and when they drop and deal damage to them based on the percentage of their maxed health. So, Jean is a great unit overall. She can displace mobs with her elemental skill, and she actually provides quick battery. She provides quick battery recharge. Just a solid character overall. All right, Kaeya. Oh, Kaeya at his optimal constellation. Which constellation was it that it allows him to extend the duration of his burst? I believe it was C2. I think Kaeya is heavily underrated. I think he's a solid upper B tier character. I think it's C2. I think I'm right. Yeah, I recall that correctly. C2 is where he starts feeling pretty nice. C4 is this. You don't need him as C4. Kaeya is one of the most, if there were to be a top 5 underrated character, Kaeya would be on there. Kaeya is such a good character overall that most people don't use him. I do feel like eventually Kaeya is going to get the Xiangling treatment where people are going to start realizing how insane this character is and how people have been sleeping on him sleeping on him figuratively just because he was a free character. I do feel like people treat these characters differently because they're free. Because they're like, oh, free characters, so they must be like doo-doo, right? Why would they give them out for free? But they don't understand. Kaeya is absolutely cracked if you get him as C2 and have him built. All right, he's good. He's a good character. No cap. Moving on to Keqing, my original waifu. At C0? Oh. Better than Beidou. Alright, I'll say it. Beidou can only be better than Keqing in one metric, is that Beidou is more flexible. You can have Beidou as the main DPS. You can have Beidou in a support DPS position. You can have Beidou in a pure support position. The argument here is that yeah, there is no argument. Yeah, I just listed it out myself, didn't I? I just listed it out myself. Beidou can be played in 3 different roles where Keqing can essentially only be played in 1. All right. Hey, I admit my defeat. You see, that's why I need chat. That's why I need chat here. Right? Yeah. Beidou is flexed into 3 different positions, and considering Beidou is at an optimal constellation, being at C2 or potentially even C4, Beidou takes a cake here. Yeah, Beidou sees more utility. Exactly. I was wrong. Chat was right. I was wrong. Still love her though. Still love her. Don't get me wrong. Still love her. Just wholeheartedly, I can't put her any higher than this. Klee. Oh, yeah. Right here above Diluc. That's it. I don't want to go any more into detail. C0. She does more damage than Diluc. Hey, listen, chat. If Diluc is in A tier, I am not putting Klee in B tier. All right. Klee is barely better than Diluc. Barely. So if we're taking Klee to B, Diluc is dropping straight down to B. Okay? That's the reasoning right there. C0 Klee is just a DPS. And as her job as a DPS, she is barely better than Diluc. That's it. Lisa, our favorite librarian. I don't think Lisa is better than Chongyun. You're gonna have to drag me outside, beat me with a bat with thorns on it until I submit to that. But I do think Lisa is a C tier. Whisker says no props for defense shred. The thing is, who the hell is bringing Lisa for defense shred? Okay, I know some people are. I know some people are. I'm gonna be honest here. Some people are. Okay? But her usefulness, like, you can't tell me just because she has defense shred, she's gonna be like better than Chongyun? Bro, Chongyun is literally a part of some of the best teams in the game. Just because this woman can shred some defense, Electro is still in an absolutely messed up spot right now, okay? I'm willing to put her higher than Amber. All right, I'm willing to put her higher than Amber. All right, that's all I'm gonna say. Lumine is higher. then Ether. Fight me. That's it. She's just a bit higher. She's just a bit higher. She's the better twin. We're not gonna get into this debate here. We are not getting into this debate here. She's the better MC. All right, just saying that much. All right, moving on to moving on to Mona. Is Mona better than Jean? This is a tough one because I know different players would have different preference for Mona, but I do think overall, if you're playing her properly, she is better. She is slightly better than Jean, just like Chad is also suggesting. But you gotta know what you're doing with this character, okay? You gotta know how long her burst lasts. You gotta know the conditions of her burst. You gotta know the proper order sequencing to use her burst properly. You can't just be throwing out her burst and then like fucking random bullshit go and hoping that, you know, where's my millions of damage? Doesn't work like that. All right. If you guys are confused about this character, there are plenty of guides showcasing how you can properly use Mona. But I'm just telling you guys, the great character overall, but you gotta know what you're doing with her, alright? I'm gonna leave it at that. This is not a Mona guide video. She is better than Jean. Yes, you guys are right. NingGuang! There. NingGuang is a high B character, alright? I don't think NingGuang can touch A tier right now. It's just because she's so... like, she just does one thing. And even in that one thing, even in the 4-star category, there are other characters that just are better. C2, when you use up her Jade screen, you get another one for free. Which is good because her talent also buffs Geo, and you want to have a Jade screen on field to make sure you can refresh that talent to buff Geo damage when you walk through the Jade screen. She's mostly used in Geo-centric teams. If you guys have an issue with NingGuang being in B tier, I do think the only people having problems will be like dedicated NingGuang mains. Be like, you just don't understand, man. You just don't understand how good this character is. But trust me, I think I do understand, and she's a B tier at C2. All right, QiQi. The inferior Diona. Here's the thing, with the new artifacts and the current state of the game, I do think QiQi is moving up. She used to be like a high C, low B tier, but I do think she's moving up because of the new artifact set. All right, I think she's somewhere around Kaeya. It's okay. Here's the debate now. It's somewhere around here. Somewhere around here. I swear people who say QiQi is bad and like worse than Kaeya is because they haven't tried her with the new set. She's really solid with the new set, and she actually trivializes a lot of what currently Corrosion does in the game. All right, let's leave her here for now. Razor. I believe Razor C4 is his optimal constellation, which is a bit high for someone who is quite outdated. I'm gonna say. I'm gonna have to put him below the Chongyun here, to be quite honest. At best, I might even drop him down to C tier, even at C4, somewhere like here. I don't think he's better than Chongyun. I don't think so. Either here, or here. I don't think he can go any higher, just because almost nothing in the game favors him. Nothing in the game is beneficial to him. There are currently mobs with such high physical resistance. Granted, you're going to be running superconduct with him. Running superconduct with him is fairly easy, but his kit is it just also feels outdated. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel as fluid as some of the newer options. And even in the 4-star category, someone like NingGuang is just less hassle. And until Electro gets fixed, he's also going to feel a little awkward. I think, okay, we'll leave it at B, low B tier. But honestly, if you're asking for my honest opinion, he's probably high C tier. All right, but we'll leave him here for now. We'll adjust. Sucrose, probably here. All right, Sucrose, I believe, is at C2, is her optimal constellation. She's definitely a solid mid to high A tier character, especially with the Anemo buff back in patch 1.6, was it? I think she sits very comfortably in the A tier. A lot of people who have built her, tried her, knows how powerful it is, especially running the 4-piece Viridescent. The Viridescent set is just too damn good. Anemo characters who run the Viridescent set struggle to fall outside of A tier. They're just too damn good. All right, Noelle C6 right here. High B tier above NingGuang. Noelle C6. Granted, she is C6. High investment to get a character to C6. But hey, Noelle does big PP damage. And remember, NingGuang's optimal constellation is around C2. with the double jade screen. Noelle's optimal constellation is at C6. And you're comparing a C6 with a C2. Of course she's going to be better. But if you're asking me, Noelle sub C6 immediately drops down to C tier. This is where she is C5. Noelle at C5 is here. Noelle at C6 is here. The scaling difference, and remember people, the new artifact set absolutely is a game changer for Noelle as well. Understand that. NingGuang doesn't have that. NingGuang doesn't have that while Noelle does. So she just has more currently to let her succeed. That's going to be that. Tartaglia, Mr. Worldwide. Probably here. Somewhere around here. High A. Pretty high A. Getting close to S tier, but not quite. It's actually a big debate whether he is better or worse than HuTao. I do think he's worse than HuTao. HuTao, remember, these are at C0. Allow me to continuously reiterate. 5-star characters you see on this tier list are all at C0. 4 stars are at their optimal constellation. So whatever they spike the hardest at. Alright? Tartaglia C0, it's actually a pretty solid character. And you can use him completely fine. He can be ran in different teams that can draw out different areas of his strength. One of his strengths that most people don't talk about is a EM Tartaglia burst build. If people who have seen it understand how cracked of a build that is for Tartaglia, and his flexibility into how many teams he can be in is honestly quite phenomenal. And of course, with his Xiangling team, he's good. All right, he has a taser team, he has a fireworks team, and of course, him paired with Xiangling is too good to ignore. I think high A tier. Nobody's gonna argue that. Venti is gonna be a solid S tier character still, I think, to this day. Better or worse than Ganyu? I don't think he's better than Ganyu, alright? Venti has been pretty targeted by MiHoYo, to the point where people who share common traits as Venti also suffers greatly. Because MiHoYo has actively refused to put a lot of smaller mobs into higher floors of the Abyss nowadays, just to make sure that Venti doesn't have too easy of a time clearing that content. So overall, still gotta give props to a character when MiHoYo goes to such great lengths to make sure he doesn't overperform. Alright, Xiangling. I think Xiangling is here nowadays. I do think Xiangling is better. I have to give props where props is due. I'm moving around the S tier just because I need to make sure that they are representative of the best state. I think Diona has more usage than Venti. I don't know. This is going to be really difficult to cycle around here. We'll have to get back to this. Xingqiu. And Xiangling is at C4, by the way. Xiangling is at C4. Xingqiu is he better than Venti? I think Xingqiu is also S tier. You can't get a character like Xingqiu from any other character right now. There's no good replacement for him. There are replacements, like some people's like, well, you can use Tartaglia. Tartaglia is you know, like a temporary Xingqiu, but Tartaglia doesn't really quite replace Xingqiu. He just is the same element and does something that's similar. But no, Xingqiu is difficult to replace. Solid S tier, but definitely lower. He's good at Constellation 2. You don't really need to go much higher than that. Any higher than that does feel a little excessive. C2 Xingqiu with R5 Sacrificial Sword is a low S tier character. I think Venti is... this is so weird. This is so difficult because we have to make sure each of them are representative of their effectiveness, right? Like in their current positions. So let's see. It's time to gauge chat. Xiangling is lower than Diona, so something like this. Maybe like this. I think Xiangling is too reliant on other characters to succeed, whereas Xingqiu is the one that other characters rely on to succeed. I think if we define it like that, it makes sense that Xingqiu should be higher. Yeah, it's because Xiangling needs other character to reach her potential, but other characters need Xingqiu to reach their potential. Fair. All right. Oh, bam, right there. I don't even want to argue with this. I don't even want to contend with this. I do think MiHoYo, through their continuous effort to make sure shield characters are not as good as they are, has failed remarkably. Zhongli is still through and through overall the best character. Listen, chat. The argument is this. As a main damage dealer, Zhongli is actually one of the better physical damage dealers out there. Potentially, he's like top 3. If you're talking about support DPS, the man just drops his meteors with his pillars, right? To be quite honest with you guys, I don't think there is a current contender for a transformative unit that can change your gameplay. If you get this character at C0, he will change your gameplay if you don't have him. But Zhongli, man, Zhongli, like, how can you guys argue Zhongli is, like, for example, worse than Bennett? Worse than Ganyu? Worse than Venti? There's no way Zhongli is worse than Venti. Look at Venti. Venti is like living in the shadow of his former self. In fact, I'd rather put it like this. Zhongli is too good overall. He reaches too many different teams and facilitates too many scenarios. Alright? It's too good. XinYan. C2. I don't think there is a scenario where XinYan... Okay, maybe better than Razor. If... No. XinYan is at Constellation 2. That's where XinYan is. That's where XinYan is. I think with similar investment, XinYan is just too confused of a character. What is she? A support shielder? A physical main damage dealer? A pyro applicator? What is she supposed to be? A musician? I don't know what miHoYo was trying to do with XinYan. I do think XinYan was like a failed Toma. And miHoYo realized that, and then when they went to Toma, they're like, okay, we're gonna do this with Toma, and things started working out. Barbara is better than XinYan. You guys are absolutely right. I'm capping. Barbara is a better XinYan. Okay, moving on to Rosaria. Rosaria. Okay, actually, I need to take a look at her constellations. I don't remember from the top of my head what constellation Rosaria peaks at. Take a look. C2. C4, while is good, I don't think you guys should be chasing for C4 Rosaria. Oftentimes, especially in cryo teams, you don't really need that much particle generation. Most cryo characters are not that particle hungry, with exception to someone like Eula, but Eula is often paired with Raiden Shogun. So blah, 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 blah. Don't need to worry too much about that. C2 is where Rosaria is going to be, somewhere around Kaeya. I think that's fair, right, chat? I don't think Rosaria is like at C2. Is she better than... It's because Diona exists. It's because Diona exists. If you ever is running a team and you're like, I need a second cryo to both activate resonance, Diona is always the first choice. I think, yeah, she's better than QiQi for sure. Is she better than Keqing? Yeah, she's probably better than Keqing. Okay, it's because Diona exists. The problem is, a lot of times people will never pivot to Rosaria because Diona literally checks off like 99% of the boxes when you're looking for a second cryo character. I think overall, this is a solid place for her to be, but she could be higher. She could be higher. Yeah, it's just she doesn't do enough. She just doesn't do enough to justify going any higher than this. Eula. Okay, Eula is definitely like a high A tier character. Eula's damage capabilities, especially with Raiden Shogun being added to the game, it just skyrocketed her pretty higher. Is she better than Ayaka or lower than Ayaka? I think depending on the player, she could be higher or lower than Ayaka. But I think high A tier is going to be good. Ayaka currently can be played in more roles than Eula. So that's why I think Ayaka still takes the cake. Ayaka could be a burst support. So you only use Ayaka for her burst, or you can use her as an on-hit cryo main DPS, which is, they're both really solid. Whereas Eula is only used as a main DPS. HuTao and Eula could really give each other a run for their money, but at C0, remember chat, at C0, she beats HuTao. If we're going C1, HuTao wins, C2, HuTao wins, C3, HuTao wins, C4, HuTao wins. But at C0, Eula wins. Yanfei, C4. Okay, C4 Yanfei. Pretty solid character overall. Probably like somewhere around here. B tier is starting to get a little crowded. I think Yanfei at C4, people. Tank Fei, exactly. Finally, someone understands what I'm talking about. Tank Fei. A solid B tier character, I think even above Keqing. She can generate her own shield and her combo attacking is fluid. Very solid, strong. Does suffer a little bit due to compatibility issues. If Yanfei could have better compatibility partners, she probably could even rival Klee. Like, probably could be even better than Klee. But because she has ICD issues to a certain degree, she's stuck in B tier. There it is. All right, I hope you guys are content. Might even be above Bennett, but overall I do think solid S tier, above Ganyu, above all these S tier characters. He stands alone right now, is as a top tier character in the game. Viridescent set, no more needs to be said. His elemental skill is really nice to use, fluid, and applies that viridescence so easily. Very accurate as well with how much precision there is to proc which element is going with that viridescent set. So overall, I do think Kazuha sitting at a higher S tier rank, top 3, arguably even top 2. I don't think we need to play with this too much. We're just gonna mess it up. All right, so we're gonna go back at the very end of this tier list and we're gonna move things around. Okay, Yoimiya. Oh, C0 Yoimiya. Such a tragedy. All right, such a tragedy. C0 Yoimiya. It's gonna be around here, like the pyro DPS. I'm gonna put her above Fish. Here's the thing. Wholeheartedly, if you guys ask me, I need to invest in a new character. Should I invest in my C2 Fischl or should I invest in my C0 Yoimiya? I'm going to tell you go with Fischl. No, really, I'm going to tell you guys go with Fischl because Fischl not only is a main DPS, she's a support DPS, she's also a straight up just an electro support, especially at Constellation 2, right? Yoimiya, if you get a C0 Yoimiya, even if you invest into her, at best she's just going to do some pyro damage, that's it. Like, I don't know. I'm just being truthful here, right? Like, as much as I think she's a cool character, she does decent damage. Fischl's utility, just how can you put her above Fischl? Fischl has great utility, great coverage for team positions. And yes, Fischl is Electro, but even in her current Electro state, she's such a flexible character. Sayu. C4. I remember this. I was looking at this actually. Okay, chat wants her to be in B tier. Here's the thing. The only thing I can respect regarding Sayu is she not only heals, she can also do swirl. Her utility is pretty good. But like you cannot argue she is the weakest out of all the Anemo characters. She's too wishy-washy. All right, she's too wishy-washy. With Viridescent and healing, I'll put her above Keqing. It's much better to just either run Sucrose for the pure Viridescent shred or just straight up run Jean. Of course, if you don't have either of these two characters, Sayu does start to open up and be an option, but she's too weak in what she does. Okay, let's put her right here. Finalized. Raiden Shogun at C0. Raiden Shogun at C0. Okay, chat. This is, I don't know if this is gonna piss people off. I think Raiden Shogun without C2 is a high A tier. Okay, chat's literally going crazy right now. This is gonna, like, we probably can sit here for like a whole day just arguing whether she's S tier worthy. I honestly don't see it. I don't see her S tier potential at C0. She isn't built like the other two Archons where C0 has her fully accessing her whole kit. At C0, she just struggles to deal that damage. I don't see her in S rank because she literally, her on-field damage presence just isn't there until she reaches C2. That is locked behind her constellation. Whereas Zhongli, Venti, none of their damage is locked behind any constellation. As the best battery in the entire game, the best she can go is A tier. You have other ways to generate battery. Do you have another way to shred 20% all resistance while having a shield? There's no substitute for what Zhongli does. Do you have another character who can apply Viridescence while also pulling all the enemies together? You don't have another option, right? And the only other option is Kazuha, who is better, right? So at C0, can you really say Raiden is an irreplaceable unit in the game currently? No, you can't say that. That's why she's currently sitting, I feel like, at a high A tier. And of course, she's Electro. That element is just struggling right now. That's going to be that. I think she's probably the best character in A tier so far. Just be like, I'm still giving her a lot of credit for what she can do, but no higher than that. Okay, Sarah, is this our first D tier character? She's good if you have the perfect scenario built out for her, but regardless of what you do, her C2 is solid. C6, yeah, I know C6 is good. All right, her C6 is absolutely cracked. Her C6 pushes her to like a high B tier. Her C2 keeps her in D tier. She's worse than Amber at C2. Yes, at C2 she's still a D tier. At C6, probably one of the better characters in the B tier. Now the question is, do we say she is a C6 or a C2 as her optimal constellation? Remember, we're not trying to push all these characters to their max constellations. There has to be a justification. Why C6? Are you really going to pour that much into this character? For what? What are you trying to do with this character? Her C6 buffs electro damage. What team currently runs electro damage? People, we are not here to say, hey, we want to make this character work, so we're gonna try to give her more resources than the other characters we have on this list. We only gave Amber C2. Yeah, for Raiden, but your Raiden is at C0. You're gonna say, okay, Raiden at C3 with my C6 Sara is better than your freaking C2 NingGuang. Dude, that's not how this tier list works. We're not here trying to push these characters to their utmost limits. We're saying Electro is in a really awkward spot right now. Who is your best Electro DPS currently? The highest Electro unit on this tier list is Raiden, and she's used as a support DPS character. We got Fischl. Are you gonna get a C6 Sara to buff your C2 Fischl? People, this is copium beyond belief. Electro is in such a bad position. Noelle is C6 because Noelle activates her main DPS. She becomes a solo carrying machine at C6. Sara at C6 starts benefiting other Electro carries. Like, what are we doing here? Like, are we trying to make Electro relevant? It's not our fault that Electro is falling out of the meta because miHoYo just constantly refused to do anything about it. You don't have a solid Electro carry that can be at the caliber of other carries. You just can't. Sara is in a very awkward spot because of Electro. C2 Sara is like right here. I think overall, maybe like that. Okay, that's it. No higher. Kokomi with the new artifact set. She's good. Okay, she's good, but she's not amazing. Overall, a high B tier. Maybe even better than NingGuang. I respect people who pull for Kokomi. Kokomi is a fun character overall. She's good. But the problem with this character is she currently still feel like there's no place in the game that just calls for Kokomi. With her artifact set, does she push into A tier with her artifact? Before her artifact set, she was really struggling, but with her new artifact set, okay, you know what? We'll put her here for one reason, because of corrosion. It's because of corrosion and her ability to facilitate freeze teams. When Xingqiu is taken in other team scenarios, if you do have a Kokomi, while her Hydro application is definitely not as consistent with an R5 Sacrificial Sword Xingqiu, is still good overall, alright? I'm gonna be honest with you guys, with her new artifact set and her availability, she is good. She is a good character. She's not amazing though, alright? That's just that. I think no one's gonna argue with me here, right? Chat, please tell me if you guys disagree with this. I don't know what game. I don't even think we are playing the same freaking game if you don't think Aloy at C0 is gonna be a solid D tier character. This character can't even get constellations, my friends. This should be a unanimous D tier, like probably, no, definitively currently the worst character in the game. She's locked at C0. Her kit is kind of wacky. It's too basic, hella boring. I mean, I tried to make her work. She just can't. Like, miHoYo went too hard on nerfing her. So yeah, let's just move on. Zhao. Ooh, this is gonna be tough. C0 Zhao. It's somewhere between these three carries. It's somewhere between these three carries right here. I think this is fair, people. Zhao currently, get this. Zhao doesn't have dedicated supports. He doesn't have a dedicated artifact set. Whereas HuTao has it, and she's barely better than him by a hair. Once Zhao gets his dedicated supports ready, he gets his dedicated artifact, he can easily shoot up maybe even to the top of A tier or maybe S tier if his DPS justifies it. But currently, the cost of running this character, the problems he has with teams that need to facilitate him, his inability to generate particles during his burst state, it's just hard, man. I think this is a solid placement, I would say, for Zhao. Alright, Thoma C4. C4 Thoma is where you want him to be. If you can get Thoma to C4, somewhere like here. Like, I feel like somewhere around here. His shielding just feels very lackluster. His pyro damage that he facilitates with, like, we used to think like, oh, maybe it's like a pyro Xingqiu, but nah. it's far from it. I think Thoma his C4 does still have a good value. It's a mid to low B tier. Maybe like even lower than. I don't think he's like in C tier, especially at Constellation 4. Not better than Kaeya? You're right. I think Thoma is better than Razor, worse than Chongyun, worse than MC. Yeah. Ito. Hey. I want to see someone take their C0 HuTao and beat my C0 Ito damage. No, I'm quite honest. I do think C0 Ito beats HuTao, beats Eula. C1 HuTao can be a contender. C1 HuTao can be like up here, or maybe even here, but like probably around here. But if we're talking C0, nah. In a triple Geo team, he's cycling through his burst skill almost instantaneously. So it's almost up 100% of the time, whereas HuTao does have some downtime. Overall, dude, like, Ito has everything he needs to succeed. He has everything he needs to succeed. It's all built into the game already. It's pre-existing for him. It's too easy. There's like no conditions. HuTao needs to be below 50% HP. As well, right? So there are all these conditions for HuTao to succeed, whereas for Ito, he just needs to press a couple of buttons. His support currently is also on the same banner as him. It's pretty easy. Goro at C4 is pretty solid. C6 Goro, of course, is phenomenal for him, but I'm not gonna say C6 Goro being like you have to get C6 Goro. No. And it's been proven that Ito can be played outside of Goro teams. But Haoyo definitely has a favoritism for this character. So that's that. And our final character, Goro C4, right here. Because Goro is like he's too niche. He's too niche. Okay, you know what? Goro C4 becomes absolutely useless if you don't have Geo characters. You know what? I'm gonna be fair. I did Sarah dirty, and my justification for putting Sarah, because Geo is a better carry option than Electro. NingGuang is a good Geo option. Ito is a good Geo option, right? Whereas Sarah, you can buff up the Raiden Shogun, but like if your Raiden Shogun is in C2, C3, you're not gonna be getting much. Even if your Ito is C0, Goro at C4 can really make Ito shine. Alright, Ito is a solid overall carry. Raiden Shogun is here not because she's a DPS, but she is a support. She's a good support DPS. Okay, overall, that's gonna be that. Let's take a look at this tier list. Who needs to be moved around? Who here doesn't belong? People are saying Barbara needs to be higher. I do think A tier, B tier are pretty crowded. Do we need to move anyone outside? Barbara is low B tier, Ayaka to S. So people are saying Razor to C. So basically we can do this like this. I think that's fair. Barbara in the current state of the game is quite valuable, especially to people who are just starting the game. Barbara is a free character. She can deal with a lot of the current difficult mechanics that people are struggling with, right? A lot of people are also saying Yanfei should be better than Diluc. I don't think so. You're saying Yanfei is better than Diluc, then Yanfei is better than C6 Noelle. I think, to be honest, C6 Noelle is better than C2 Beidou. I think that's a fair judgment to make. Bring down Venti to A tier. That's true. It's very difficult to use Venti in the current iteration of the Abyss. If you're talking about patch 2.3, maybe like that. People are saying MCs should be lower. But the thing is, right, Electro MC still offers a great utility feature, which is like a replacement, kind of like a mini Raiden Shogun. It's pretty strong for a lot of characters that need the energy recharge. I think overall, chat, okay, Ganyu. But the thing is, if you put Ganyu any lower, you're gonna say Ganyu is worse than Xingqiu, Ganyu is worse than Diona. I don't think that's the case. No Electro in the S tier. Yeah, that's just Electro right now. I think overall this tier list is pretty complete. I'm sure people are gonna be able to move things left and right here. You know what? Let's just keep it like this. Any more moving, I think people are gonna want me to literally like flip this whole thing upside down. So I think overall, this is a decent representation of what the current iteration of the Abyss demands. Of course, current Abyss iteration, probably we can move a lot more characters around. But the current state of the game, these characters are, if we're taking not Abyss, Overworld, events, utility, all stuff considered, I think these characters are sitting relatively good at where they are. All right, unfortunately, there are no Electro characters up here. I do think not everybody's going to be happy. Of course, people are never going to be fully satisfied with a lot of these tier lists. But this tier list, I didn't just come up with myself. I did take into a lot of input from chat, making sure that a lot of these characters are where we think collectively they deserve to be. Now, with that said, please comment down below what you guys think. Whether you want certain characters to be in other positions, or whether you think certain characters deserve to be above other characters. I think there's a lot to be said here with these characters. Remember, this is just my tier list and chat's tier list, and see. And for all the 5 stars, they're sitting at C0, and all the 4 stars, we gave them optimal constellation requirements to be in certain positions. For example, Noelle at C6 is able to outperform Beidou, who is going to be at C2. All right, with that said, that's everything, people. Urge you all to stay safe, and peace. Till next time. Bye-bye. Say bye-bye, chat. I think collectively, this time, we may have pissed off a lot of people. But probably not as much as my last tier list. Oh boy.